Ladies and gentlemen, again, a pleasure to have you here with us at this Business Travel Forum. It has been quite a heady day where we've been discussing so many different facets of business travel. And here we are to talk about another important, another very interesting facet, which is, of course, payments. How do you make them? What are the challenges in terms of what the service providers feel and what the people who are paying feel when they have to make those payments? To start with, as employees, ease of payment is something that you look for. There's no doubt about that. And technology today, as we've been saying through the day, is allowing a lot more of that ease than it has in the past. But then again, it poses its own challenges. So when you talk about plastic being used, credit cards being used, there's that much more ease of being able to swipe them and make those payments immediately. There are preloaded cards as well, so it becomes that much easier to transact business. What are the challenges therein right now in being able to use credit cards when an employee is traveling?
Typically, speaking from a perspective of a travel management company or rather a vendor, some of the aspects that you're looking at, one is if it is being used from a remote location. We are looking at the usage of that credit card, whether it's a valid user using it. So for example, if I have an online portal or I'm having an online payment mechanism, and we do read in about a lot of frauds and other things that are happening in credit card payments. There's one thing that sort of is a cause of concern. I'm not sure to what extent the insurance industry is geared up in terms of being able
to deal with such
solutions, to give solutions to such frauds. But that remains an aspect of concern. Second, the payment mechanism is evolving. And to say that is the customer, to a large extent, is yet to
available for payment. What are the challenges that you're facing right now?
Well, I don't think employees, there's any challenge from getting employees to use the card.
Right. They're very happy to use them.
They're very happy. I think a lot of companies, not so much mine, but a lot of companies actually have apprehensions about the level of defaults that can happen, and the level of misuse that can happen. But again, from personal experience, from my earlier organizations that I have worked with, if you administer the policy right, that company actually proved to be the lowest defaulter in the entire country. So it is ultimately about how you want to administer that entire process and how much of compliance tracking processes you have in place, so that the benefit of the card, which is what it is meant to be, that is felt in totality.
It seems like a work in progress, Kala, because obviously you're saying that the processes are tedious, and the fact that we haven't streamlined them or made them that much easier or that much less prolonged in terms of whether it's reconciliation or just being able to put it all in one piece, seems to be suggesting that this is not the way you'd ideally like it.
So, like I said, it is about how you use the card.
Right. No. Right? So there are various ways. So where are we getting it wrong is what I want to get.
So what I'm trying to say is, as long as you have this culture of legacy payments being the way that companies want to work, then they can make the card process go wrong in just about every which way. But if the mindset of the corporate involved is about getting the payment process right, then this is an absolute delight to work with.
Okay. In the hotel space, because there's the credit card option, now there are several payment gateways as well. So from your perspective, which one works better?
So our experience has been very positive. If you look at the credit cards which have started coming in, the payment gateways, it's really streamlined a lot of operations for us. In terms of the whole reporting structure, we're able to actually track the bookings, you're able to actually read out costs which need to be recovered. In hotel operation, what happens is you actually charge something to the company, the personal expenses which the customers have to pay themselves, which is a part of the rate contract when we actually get those rate contracts. So with the payment gateway mechanism or with the credit card mechanism, we're able to track all that. We're able to get the monies, settled immediately. We even done a hybrid model where what we actually do is we connect our systems to the intranet of the company. So what we actually do is when the internal internet processes of approvals are happening, that's actually getting filtered down to us. So we get the whole booking along with the permission. So, if you take an example of, I can't take a company, we actually get the booking reference number. That booking reference number tags everything from the day the actual request.
It ties in everything, all the details
and
connected with
up,
it.
right up to the payment. So if anyone wants to just figure out what's happening or where is it stuck, or even for reconciliation, we just quote the booking reference number, or the customer quotes that booking reference to us. And our finance or the person who's actually the sales force can immediately rectify the problem, get it resolved, get into a problem solution. So I think it's a great tool. It's really helped us ease out the whole process. In the legacy system, you were not, what we were supposed to do was actually do your whole billing, which we still do, but apart from billing, put in the full supportings, person goes, delivers, then there'll be admin guy will actually sit across with the bills with you. He'll say this was not allowed, this was supposed to be charged direct. Those kind of issues are now getting streamlined completely. So it's a great tool for us.
In these difficult times where liquidity is at a crunch, we
put in place. So you sort of, you follow the line very, very strictly. That's what is required.
also, a lot of mobile apps are facilitating payments. Are they bringing in that kind of ease as well, or is it still in the making?
It's in the making, but it's really helped business because you're on the go. You can actually evaluate options. You can book options. We have apps which we built into hotels where you can actually check in. You can also check in. So we're coming in late, you can actually check in into your hotel.
Right.
So those kind of options which are available to customers really helps build a business.
Right.
Yeah, payment option is something which is still not integrated. We have still some issues around payments through mobiles, but there are companies which are coming up with options which we can pay online.
Yeah. Do you encourage use among employees with apps that are created, say with hotels, with airlines?
Absolutely. That is one of the things that we are working on the travel program implementation that I was talking about. It is already in place in the US, wherein submissions for reimbursements happens on their mobiles, and payments do get made on the mobile as well a lot of times. And we are looking to implement that across the globe now.
Right. So since you talked about reimbursements, and that's the tricky area of many employees, how are you working around it in the present context?
So I think to my mind, the best way to go about that is to get the appropriate expense settlement tool, and you have plenty of those. And these can work in conjunction with your travel agency if you want to work with somebody else, or else there are online tools which have that facility as well. So you could pick whatever is appropriate to your company, but if you go the expense tool way, then submission online is not a challenge, and there are enough and more tools available in the market for people to choose from.
How much of all of this, in terms of payment solutions, and I want to ask you this, is built into the travel policy, and that perhaps brings clarity and direction in terms of how simple the processes are going to be and how strictly, with what kind of discipline level it's going to be adhered to?
I think a lot of companies are beginning to realize and understand the importance of getting their travel policy right. Vikas had mentioned that as well.
Especially on the payment
absolutely,
side.
Absolutely. And the fact that we are now beginning to compete on a global platform with companies across the world, I think we have no option but to get this right. And that can only be encouraged through getting the travel policy right and establishing norms within which these guidelines, within which these payments have got to be made, and the discipline needs to be enforced.
You're not doing a great job, according to you.
I'm glad on this. I'm a total convert. I'm not sure, I've not honestly had too many suppliers telling me to go the corporate card way. It's vice versa, actually. We are telling them this is the way we would like to go, and do you have the technology to support this requirement of ours? And that's one of the evaluation factors.
And what do they say?
Oh, a lot of times they don't. They just don't have that technology.
Well, the ability is not there to be able to give you those kind of solutions.
Yes, they don't have the ability to integrate with the tool that is required. I mean, you could be a global agency, and if you don't have this capability, you know.
So it's demand side driven, this entire thing, where it can help your industry so much more to be able to get these kind of processes, especially in terms of having the right ingredients in a travel policy for payments.
That remains a particular her own experience. So
Yes, of course.
I don't hope to infer it on my TMC in particular. But yes, it is to a large extent demand side driven. But let us not also put out in perspective is where does it all aggregate, the traveler experience? Does it aggregate in the company which is traveling, or a travel agency or travel management company who's managing a variety of customers? So the richness of ideas, the richness of experience, the richness of the events that have happened, the learnings that have happened, it's entirely the travel management company who can give it to you.
That's what one would imagine, but she is saying that
As
that's
I said,
not always
that's her
there.
personal
It's not
experience,
on tap, essentially. And there is, when you talk about standardization in terms of what you can offer on certain things, they may be great at one part of the travel business, but not so good in other parts. And perhaps getting that standardization is tough.
Look, if you look at it, it's always been customer driven, and that's nice, because then you are on your toes, and that's the good part of it. The only thing that you then look at is that is it a viable solution or not?
Right.
That's something that you look at.
Yes, but when it comes to the payment side of it, and India is again unique on that count, so that much more work needs to be done.
A lot of times you find travel management companies focusing on the front end of the business. You do not find them focusing on the back end in terms of what is required to ensure that data is accurate, in terms of what is required on the MIS front, in terms of what is required to be done on submission of invoices, or ensuring that there is integration happening with the necessary tools so that there is no need for any paper invoices to be submitted. The back end focus from travel management companies is very low. There may be that one odd company that's doing it, but in general, everybody is focused on front end and servicing customers. Nobody really bothers about what needs to be done in order to get our money in on time. And that is something that I've been facing several challenges on this with several different big companies across the country.
So, in your opinion?
So I can't comment on the travel management part of it, but when we've gone direct, as in when we have had a direct relationship with the corporates, it's been smoother for us. We've been able to actually find out what the requirements are.
And they can be very specific and very unique.
Very unique.
To adapt to each corporate house with their specific requirements can be tedious in itself.
Absolutely.
As opposed to dealing with TMCs who will give you a host of clients. And it'll be all there in terms of processes. So one would imagine that going through a TMC would be better. But that's not the case.
That's not the case. It also depends. It's not. I'm not talking about a one-off business relationship. If we're doing a large corporate which has a strong business relationship with us, we actually cater to their needs in terms of the whole payment cycle. If they want to, do a 30-day cycle, we'll cater to that.
Right.
We'll actually create an opportunity for them so they can maximize the returns. When we actually tell them these are the points of time where I can give you a better rate. These are the points of time I can differentiate between rates for them. I can do something better on the food and beverage offering. I can give them opportunities where clients, when they on their own, when they're with the family, they get certain benefits with that. So that's through a loyalty management program which we do it. So when we do that, we actually see a lot of benefits, and a lot of this administration, if you look at the hassles part of it, doesn't come into picture. But yeah, on a bigger scale, when you do multiple corporates, there would be a travel management company involved. But it's also a mindset. I still feel that from the legacy to the credit cards or to the payment options, we have moved. The administrative hassles earlier were much, much larger.
Whether you were dealing with TMCs or whether you were...
Because they finally have to rely on the same set of documentation. They still have to provide the same set of documentation.
And you'd agree with that, though you're smiling about this, you would agree that administration perhaps is a little easier than what legacy game?
On a corporate card platform?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Like I said,
And
I'm
like
a
you said,
total
you
convert.
have been constantly
Oh, yeah.
fighting for the cause of
I've
corporate
been
cards,
driving corporate
sometimes
cards
suggesting
as the
it to
payment
your
model.
PMCs as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So every travel purchase needs to get onto a corporate card platform because it makes life easy for everybody. And as far as payments go, I think banks and whichever bank you get the card from, they're very open to customizing that piece for you.
Right.
It's a question of talking to them and getting that done instead of messing up the entire process and making everybody's lives miserable.
Right. So knowing what you want, getting the right process in place is obviously going to lead you to efficiencies on the cost front, administration front, and every possible front that you can imagine. And I guess we're all in agreement on this panel about that. It's been a great day. Lots of discussion, lots of exchanges on business travel, and various facets discussed as well. It has been a fascinating journey for me personally, and I hope it has been for all present. I thank you indeed for joining us on Business Travel Forum. Goodbye.